That is true. Our character should be able to operate ladders, considering that he was pre-Fallout.
You're saving.
Oh, yeah, it's caught up.
Yeah, but it's not. Okay, now you can start.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, our character is not a ghoul
or anything
like that. Who was before the bombs fell should understand basic ladder working. I'm just saying. I am just saying.
Well, it's certainly in better shape than I expected. Thank God.
You're telling me, Nick. Okay.
Hello.
I watched you swim out here. You appear able, but not a threat. No. Come in, Heping. Peace?
Who are you?
Zhao, captain of the Chinese Navy. I sail the Yangtze 31. This Gentian. This submarine. My beautiful boat. Speak
hey, you know
harsh
something?
words of
It's
me
submerged, but yet not.
My Yangtze. Speak of her with respect. Why are you here? War is over. Long over. And my Yangtze holds no bao, no treasure. Nothing for you to plunder.
All right, you got me. I'm scavenging for supplies.
Honest answer. Zhao appreciates your truth. As you can see, there is little of value here. Your arrival is good Xingyun for me. I need help, you see. Yangtze is not seaworthy. You will help me fix her?
Sure.
I'm at your disposal.
Ha! Yes! Thank you. Yes, my friend. But first problem. Yangtze has no power. If we get reactor working, probably enough. There is damage to a dampening coil. Bad damage. Need a new coil.
What the hell's that with that cigarette, long-faced nook?
Robo-weed.
Robo-weed and, you know, the reality of, you know, pot.
Hey, good news. I've been there already.
I already have the dampening coil from Saugus.
I grabbed those.
Favors us both, it seems. Now all we need is one thing. Nuclear fuel.
I'm ready.
The next step seems simple. But do not be deceived. 200 years ago, I launched all of Yangtze's high-yield nuclear missiles, as ordered. For 200 years, I have lived with that guilt, that shame. So much fire, such bay, but one missile failed to launch. You must go down, remove the warhead, then bring it to me.
I'm on it.
I admire your spirit. While you are getting warhead, I will prepare the reactor. But now I must warn you. There is danger.
You know, I feel so bad for Zhao.
He's been down here for more
He's
than...
been down here for 200 years and relatively all alone.
Worse.
And you know, you grown-up fighter, you sit there and you call him an invader Zhao, but
kill you.
He's been here as long as potentially some of the NPCs who have stumbled upon the area for whatever reason, and they're considered part of our conceptual world and whatever. So I sit there and I put it to you that
heads up.
Do something for you? Looks like you got something to say.
a nuclear-grade nuke material in a power reactor. I've heard worse places to put that.
Well, generally, though, you actually have a separate... it's actually very different.
Well, I mean, it might be very different, but that, you know, for a game like this, this is the simple
You've got your breeder reactors and things like that, but
Well, I mean, I don't have a knowledge of nuclear physics or what have you. But I'm just gonna sit here and say it that on a conceptual level, this person has been here for 200 years.
yeah.
What's different from this guy being here 200 years and me and my ancestors being here 130 years?
True.
You know?
But yeah, there generally is a different.
Good.
Yeah, I see it. And you know what? I'm gonna grab that right away.
You're gonna need it. And there is a... But that is not...
Well, that's Nick over here.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a difference between energy grade nuclear materials and weapons grade.
Okay, you know something? The reality is that we recognize this, but this is a game that doesn't follow concepts of nuclear physics in as, you know, nuclear weaponry versus nuclear material. I mean, you sit there and you have irradiated blood and nuclear material as conceptual points of this your fact, which is true, but that they're not, you know, they're not different. They're not differentiated. So you can get nuclear material from a rad roach, fucking, you know.
And actually, Gunfire brings out the fact that we have many nuclear, hand-carried nuclear rounds. But I don't know actually how much...
Fallout nuclear physics are a little more slapdash than in real life. That is a fair assessment.
Then again, I don't know how much the round for Davy Crockett carried, or weighed.
Wait. The Davy Crockett was actually the reference to the handheld nuclear material held by members of the military in the United States back in the day.
Yeah,
right?
the man-portable nuclear mortar, essentially,
Yes.
that would actually show up in Fallout, or not Fallout, in Metal Gear Solid 3.
Okay, yeah, and
I don't know how much the warhead weighed.
But the fact of the matter is that was still a three-man team, as I recall.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, it was still a three-man team, which means that one person is likely the individual who's carrying the radioactive material weapon.
Mm-hmm.
One person who's carrying the one man who's carrying the weapon, one who's carrying the radioactive material warhead, and the other person who is actually the person who gives the order.
Yeah, or like a base plate or something.
Well, you know, call it what you will. I mean,
Yeah.
the reality is that you're still going to have somebody who's sitting here and who's technically in charge, and I put that in air quotes, who is in charge, who you sit there, and that is the person who gives the order.
Yep, I'm going with shitness right off the bat.
Followers. Wait a minute. That's the wrong answer.
Yeah, generous?
Shitness.
Dangerous.
Shit.
Yes. Let's get dangerous.
Okay, fine. Be that way. And the reality is that also with a handheld nuclear device, you're more likely to kill yourself than not.
Yeah.
I mean, every time we've sat there and had a... Well, I mean, okay, even if you have the highest level ghoul or...
Whatever.
Or, you know, pick your type of creature character who sits there and is able to absorb radioactivity.
Mm-hmm.
You have the reality that most creatures are going to be killed by the radioactivity before it can kill whatever they're trying to kill when they're setting off a nuclear bomb a la handheld device.
Yeah.
You know, it's a sad fact.
I mean, and also if you look at nuclear physics...
There's also a, FYI, a bottle of cooking oil.
Yeah, if you look... basically with nuclear physics, you need a certain minimum reactive mass in order to get a... Hello, wine.
And noodles.
And
or
vegetable
soup.
soup. Yeah, you need a certain minimal reactive mass in order to actually get an explosion. Anything less than that, you're basically going to get a lot of radioactive decay and heat, but not an explosion.
But on top of that, you have the issue of, okay, even if you get an explosion, there is still a degree of distance that's required to keep the person... I mean, it's essentially the problem that they had when when the United States... Because the United States actually did initially have... essentially troopers, I don't know what else to call them, but soldiers who sat there and carried handheld nuclear reactive devices and expositionary forces, I guess might be one way to put it, where you sat there and you would be essentially with a rocket launcher,
Yeah.
the equivalent of a nuclear rocket launcher, and you would launch your weapon
Something else.
and, you know, do what you do. And that even though you would do it, you would be within the range of who is going to be irradiated and potentially killed. That's just the reality. That's the reality of a lot of this. Oh God, that's even more like psychologically damaging. One of them has a baby rattle.
Which in this case, you probably know that that's
probably something that came from...
He brought it with him as like a memento of his family.
Yeah, but that's even worse because now there's that psychological connection.
You know, having been on a submarine a couple times, like at Pearl Harbor.
Well, just being on a couple... I've been on 2 submarines. I've been on the one in Pearl Harbor from an equivalent perceptual time period. But I was on one that was slightly before it.
Yeah.
Which is...
When you look at like the
Which is even more terrifying, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, when you look at just how compressed and how small the areas are.
Like, even having washers...
You're doing pretty
and
good.
Dryers. Like, they didn't have that. They had to sit there and make do in some instances, particularly in earlier times.
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
You think of how compressed some of those things were, and...
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like, fact of the matter, I could not do it. You could not force me into the tin can like this and expect me to sit there and make anything. Because there's a degree of panic. What's even more astounding, and I don't know if that's an aspect of the reality that you have essentially 1/6 of the crew who are still technically living, and I don't know how much ghouls need to breathe. They've been at this for 200 years, and they're underwater still. That doesn't mean that there's any air.
True.
And I wonder how much that has an influence and stuff. But I mean, you couldn't get me to go in. I've seen post World War I. I mean, I've seen some of the original submarines from back at the Revolutionary War of the United States. And those are fucking terrifying because they're like 1 or 2 man barrels.
Yeah.
Which is just, oh God, no.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that would drive you crazy.
It would drive me crazy.
Ooh,
but that being said, I also look at... Ooh, blood packs. And rat away.
This is the doctor's stash.
Wow. But yeah, so you sit there and you have all of that, and
For you?
I'm going to sit here and say it. Having seen World War I level underwater vessels, they're worse. They are literally worse than World War II ones. Okay? I wouldn't get on a fucking World War II vessel, okay? Much less a fucking World War I vessel. A World War I, you'd have to tie me down and gag me because I would be screaming the whole way.
Sounds like a plan.
I don't know that it's the same as the Hunt for Red October accent syndrome. No, I mean, seriously, having seen, I mean, essentially, World War I level, you know, submarines were a tube.
Yeah.
A singular tube, usually with 2 runoffs at the very back, where they could sit there and load torpedoes. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Pretty similar.
Okay. That essentially there's one tube that leads to a base bunkhouse area that, and, ooh, there's alcohol.
Yay, alcohol.
Yay. Okay. But yeah, so you sit there and you have a bulk hit, you know, location where everybody is bunking for the most part, separated by your officers who are bunking in a smaller area.
But who still might have to essentially hot bunk.
They might have to hot bunk. You know, the internet tubes are not the same. You don't physically have to be stuffed into them. And you won't die if anything implodes. Okay? I'm being real. So I sit there and I look at the whole idea of being stuck in one of these. Like I've seen World War II versions. I've seen an early 60s, I think, version where it just gave, like, it was before they did an upgrade, but it was just it. I sat there and I was like, oh hell no, kill me now. I don't want to be on this for any prolonged period of time, because if you have any kind of issue with space, believe me, I have issues with space at times. Mm-hmm. Most of them are issues that I can deal with. But when you have the reality of being stuck on a vessel where you're with like 30 other guys or what have you, no. Just fucking no. Unbeknownst. No, you already did that one. What ones have you all done?
Well, that was not it.
Okay. But yeah, so I'll be honest, you know, having seen the vessels that people had to be on during wartime, and the fact that you're at wartime, so it's not like a case of you're just cruising around and just, you know, whatever the fuck happens. No, there's people actively trying to kill you, and you have to be silent and whatnot. I mean, this is all old school reality, but to some degree would still be true for today because sound carries in water. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So.
Stop reading my fanfics. Says Gay Shizzle.
Actually, that was grunt fodder.
Yes, mixed up.
Hot bunking on the internet leads to sleazy ass fucks.
Probably.
Okay, fair enough.
Only if you're lucky.
But no, I mean, seriously, that's kind of the thing that I'm like, I okay, I grew up living with 7 siblings, my parents and my grandparents, in relatively close proximity. Mm-hmm. Okay? Fuck the idea of being on a boat with a bunch of fucking other guys who are gonna sit there and who we're all gonna be sharing air with. What's that grunting? Look behind you.
Somebody is agitated. Oi, the first mate.
Aw, poor first mate.
Take a moment to appreciate his hat.
Are you gonna take it?
No, I have a better hat.
He's glowing. He tried to bite you. Wait a minute. I take that back. He succeeded in biting you.
Yeah, just a little bit around the
And
edges.
irradiating you.
Oof. Took a little bit of warhead, no big deal.
A little IVV is when every one of us has all we need. Ha! Yellow Submarine lied to me. You know something? I never actually listened to what the Yellow Submarine said. What's on that table? Oh, that was essentially nothing. But yeah.
Wow, it takes us back to where we were. Just a shortcut.
I wouldn't drink any of that without a dose of Radex first.
Word.
Fact, buddy.
But yeah, so, I mean, the reality is that, as with so many things in history, oh, hell nah, is my reaction and response. It's entirely possible that who knows what the future brings and what we go back to. But, for God's sakes, don't put me in a fucking barrel with a tube that goes up to the surface and expect me to pedal my way to wherever the fuck we're going.
Hello.
Okay. That's it. That's really it.
I trust.
Nah,
Did
no
the
sweat.
Yellow Submarine
The
carry
radiation did give you
ICBMs?
Superpowers, though. X-ray vision. Love the leopard G-string.
200 years, and your humor is still bad. America liberating Anchorage. Now that was a good joke.
You know,
Now,
Zal could be my friend if he wasn't my enemy.
Down to the reactor. Take dampening coil and warhead with you. First, insert the dampening coil. Carefully. Xiaoxin. Then, put warhead into the reactor. As you do that, I monitor power levels from the control room. Do not put warhead in first. Do that? Sewang. Death for you and me both.
So dampening coils first. What's on that desk?
Which desk? Here?
Left.
It is a folder and a power relay coil.
Okay. I was just checking, because goddamn.
I'm gonna drink a beer,
IRC.
if I recall correctly.
Okay, thank you. They shot missiles at some monsters and ran away. Weed-based torpedoes, though. Screw you, Zao. You nuked America. Granted, I give him a little bit of leeway sitting here and saying that he was just following orders and I guess fundamentally you could sit there and say that,
Just leave it now.
Hey.
Was not sure my beautiful Yangtze would hold together. But we did it. You are a capitalist. I know you expect payment for services. Instead, I would offer you service in exchange for your service. It is our way. Take these transponders. Each one acts as a homing signal for missile I can fire from my Yangtze. Only
That's right. We can nuke somebody.
but you should
If we want
still
to.
get as far away as possible. Throw transponder like a grenade to activate it. Then wait for Baozang. Kaboom.
I wish you a safe journey.
Many thanks. I look forward to seeing my Zhongguo soon. Soon I will set sail. You should get ashore. Farewell, American. I must admit, I have met worse capitalists.
So now we have a bunch of homing beacons,
Okay, can
which
I just
have weight.
Can you leave them here?
Nah.
You can't?
Well, I probably could, but Oh, we're using
that is a great idea. Use them on the Brotherhood, no question. Well, I mean, considering everything that could go down with the Brotherhood, okay.
So I will go ahead and say that, okay, as far as factions go in this game, the Minutemen can be friends with anybody.
Yes, I can.
You can be like Men, Railroad, Minutemen,
Brotherhood, Minutemen.
Institute, which is the final faction, which we haven't gotten to yet. But the Minutemen can go with anybody. But if you go with the Railroad, the Brotherhood, or the Institute,
You can't go with the You can't go with the Brotherhood.
they will all have a quest that involves you removing all the other
Annihilating
groups.
other groups. You know, actually, thing that I didn't notice, can you go back to the original screen? You're like right there
Yeah.
for the Brotherhood.
Oh yeah, they're like
They're-
right here. There was a nuclear submarine right in their backyard and they didn't even notice. So, you know,
But no, I'm going to be honest. Okay, I'm going to sit here and say it. And I think that there's a reason why this particular caricature depiction is there. Is the fact that we're far more similar than different. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of... Well, you can sit there and you can say to some degree, this is kind of the point with Fallout, is to sit there and point out the fact that we're fucking the same.
yep.
I mean, we might answer to different persons or, you know, different hedgewinds or whatever you want to call it. But that ultimately we're still all the same to some degree. That we're just people. Mm-hmm. We're people. That's what it is. And that with this particular last one, you sit there and you have somebody who was a person who was the captain of a ship, who sat there and was like, this is my job. And maybe he didn't have the personal fortitude to sit there and say no for whatever reason. But maybe that gives us, in the future, some reason to say no. You know? It's that kind of situation. And so I sit there and I look at this and I'm like, you know something? I just feel like I love the fact that which one was the one that you sat there and you went back up to? You had a depiction of you going back up to Alaska and fighting off the Chinese.
Oh, that was Fallout 3.
That was 3. Okay, I couldn't remember if that was 3 or New Vegas. God, some of these tend to blend a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. So you sit there and you have Fallout 3 where you sit there and you have this perceptual rendition of yourself going up to Alaska and protecting it from the Chinese. Mm-hmm. Okay? Fine, whatever. But you never meet somebody.
Okay.
You never meet a Chinese person to try to understand their viewpoint.
I will ensure your safety to the best.
There's no chance of that. That's never a reality. Whereas in this one, you have no instance where you are directly fighting the Chinese because you're on the far end of the United States.
Yep.
I mean, really, the only way you could be more far on this side of the United States is if you were sit there in fucking Florida. Mm-hmm. Who knows? Maybe Florida's not even there anymore.
True.
But, you know, so you sit there and you have that. Where you are actually meeting somebody who is a Chinese person fulfilling an obligation when you were alive who's still alive. Mm-hmm. And you're seeing how similar is he to me? Mm-hmm. That he still has the emotional attachment to his crew, but at the same time, he knows that his crew is no longer his crew. And he sits there and he says, you know, you can take them out. I'm not going to be upset.
They're literally not sentient.
They're no longer my crew. Mm-hmm. You know? And so I sit there and I look at that and I'm like, well, you know, that's somebody who's cognizant. It'd be different if you sat there and you had somebody who was like, these are all my crew, you can't kill them. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be upset with you if you do kill them. I would put money that Florida doesn't exist in Fallout because even if Florida Man is still there, you've probably destroyed everything underneath Florida.
True.
Probability. But no, I mean seriously, you sit there and you look at Fallout, and that's the probability of it. You sit there and you have, this is the first instance that we've had in 2.5 games.
Mm-hmm.
And I say 2.5 because I don't call New Vegas its own thing, because there's really no chance for this. But, you know, you sit there and you have this character who's like, I'm suddenly in you know, interacting with somebody who's Chinese, and how much of this could have been averted.
And people had actually done this earlier.
Well, if they had done this earlier, or if they had actually sat there and tried to understand each other.
True. And okay.
Okay, and it suggested do some fucking cooking.
That's a good point.
You know something? Thank you, Kishizzle.
Let's see what we can cook.
We will sit there and see what we can cook.
And then we're probably going to call it a night.
Probably going to, because I think we're done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
I'm going to be honest. Steak.
I'm going to be honest. I sit there and there's a reason why I love that particular quest. It's because of the fact that we actually get introduced to what we consider the enemy. We don't consider the enemy actively, but that we consider these Chinese conceptually to be the enemy, and you know, I'm gonna go so far as to say that I don't recall. It's not to say that there aren't, but that I do not recall in any prior Fallout where there's any kind of existentially real population of people who were not white American. So you don't see any Chinese, you don't see any Japanese.
Well, the Shi in Fallout 2 who were...
Okay, that's the exception, not the rule, and that's a specific area. But overall, we don't see a large quantity of Asian Americans or the like. And so, you know, I sit there and say, well, you know, take that as it will, and, you know, why'd things happen?
Okay, well, good night, folks, and we'll see you again next time.